Really took me off guard when I first heard it in the reveal.
Me too.
But then they said,
look at the girthy update. I get it.
Yeah, I definitely knew all of this, yeah.
I was like, damn, dude.
That's probably 99%. That has to be 99%.
I did 180 on this class immediately.
welcome to another episode of the PoE Report, a podcast about all things Path of Exile 1 and 2, from myself, Dreamcore, and my co-host, Palstron. We're just getting into a brand new Path of Exile 2 league. It looks like it's going to be a big one. Pal, dude, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. There's a lot to talk about, and today we got just the right person. We got the man with arguably the best hair on Twitch, the Swordsmaster himself, the one and only, Darth Microtransaction, aka DM. What's up, man? How's it going?
The Swordsmaster, that's a new one.
Yeah.
I'll take. I really think that's Karn, but I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, it was
good.
Hell yeah. I was just seeing that you tweeted a lot about swords and talked about a lot about swords. So I thought I might have to check up on you after there's no swords, but
I'm fine with it. My thing was, I'm good with it. It's I was flip-flopping because when they started doing the teasers and they were like, didn't show the league mechanic, right? Yeah, it showed like, the first one was like Infinite Atlas, right? We all figured it was Infinite Atlas. And then they showed like 4 league mechanics we already had. I was starting to get into the spot where I'm like, I don't think they're doing a class or a new mechanic. Like, I mean, I think they're reworking everything is what they're doing. And this is a rework league. So like, I was originally like, no, actually, like I would have bet against it. I don't think there is swords. And then they do like a bunch of sword teasers.
The tweet got me.
Yeah.
The tweet got me.
Yeah. Which one?
There was several. There was several, yeah.
So what got me was the Gladiator one. The reply.
Yeah.
That one got me.
Yeah, like the Gladiator. But see, this is where the roller coaster comes in. Because I saw that, I go, no, it's not. Because, like, the person said, hopefully you'll keep us entertained. So she's just typing into the GIF app,
It's the GIF, yeah.
They just, well, are you not entertained? No problem, right? But then people are like, well, that's the Gladiator. And if you look in the art book, they actually call it the Gladiator as opposed to the Duelist in the art book. Well, I'm like, okay, but still I digress, not really. And then
No, sorry, to be fair, Gladiator is also in PoE 1 more shield than sword, right? So that's another thing. Yeah. In hindsight. Yeah.
But then they done the breach thing. The breach thing really got them. Like, I think that was the nail in the coffin there. The breach thing with the big old sword, like front and center. Yeah, and that was
after having like a literal sword shown in a teaser, and then it's like zoomed in on, and they're like offering the sword up, and it's getting enchanted. Shit's like, whoa, come on! Like,
that must have been weird. Because there's no way they already filmed that one, and then everybody started talking about swords, and it's just because it's Chayula themed, right? It's the sword from PoE 1, and they were like, "Oh no, people are gonna, oh no, should we re-record?"
Yeah, so I'm of the take, which is like it's totally cool to know story. I mean, the amount of shit that we got, like, how are you going to complain after watching that, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to complain after that.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I understand why everyone's like, well, where the fuck is this? Like, what the, because that, and then she tweets out, oh, not you, to the champion. And it's like, wait, okay, like, if that was a Duelist image, I'd be like, all right, boys, like, calm down. She's telling you to calm down. But it's like, wait a minute, that's the champion. There's other.
That's what she would say, right? To calm down. That's what she would say.
She's been mind gaming everyone the entire goddamn time. Like Nine Hierarchy, you got the Spider, and then the Spider, and then the Soft Spire, and then they're all mind games. So of course you would think. So it was a series of unfortunate events. I think
the other thing that was part of that is that, like, this patch took a lot longer to actually get here, and then the last class we had was the Druid, which we knew took longer because of all the animations for the different transforms. So it kind of made sense that there may have been a class coming in this patch, even though they did say in the Q&A that it takes them longer than one cycle per class. But I would kind of view it as not all classes are equal, right? Like, the Druid is taking a lot longer because they had to redo all of those movements for the WASD and stuff like that. So
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And they said way back, I think before the release of the game, even in one of their pre-interviews, I don't remember who it was with, but they said that making the class is like more work than making a campaign, is what they thought. But, they were referencing like Vestal of Hatred in the Spiritborn release because they were talking about Diablo 4 at the time and how Diablo 4 like influenced them to like make an in-game first, etc. But he's like, well, I was impressed because they made a class, and class is like more work for us than a campaign. So I was like, oh, okay. So, it's actually a shitload of work, which actually, looking at it now kind of rings true, I guess, because, you don't really get classes too often in the updates.
Yeah. The problem also is that in D4, for example, there's not that many layers of customization. In this game, whenever they put out a new class, they need to check every layer and need to adjust the balance correctly, right? So I believe that immediately. Yeah, I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
I part of me wonders like how much balancing and testing they actually are doing. It's like I think they look at. I would assume, I don't know. I would assume they're like looking at the skills in just a vacuum and being like, is this skill okay? But like, how can they parse every skill against every mechanic? I mean, that's how we get, busted shit arriving anyway, or else.
I think they're really good. They're really good at intuiting, right? For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess the long and short of it is like I went from like thinking like there's no shot we're getting swords after seeing all the release stuff to like, okay, well maybe we are. Like I guess I'm wrong. This is the best update of all time. And then like, okay, well that makes sense.
It was definitely a roller coaster pre-reveal for sure.
So where were you guys on? Did you 100? But like where would your money have been?
Well, we had that chat, right, before, a couple days before launch, we had that chat, and I remember the question came up of, like, is there going to be one class or is it going to be two classes? And I was like, there's definitely no way there's two classes. Like, there's no way. But I was kind of erring on the side of maybe there won't be a class at all. I think I said it was 50% chance for a single class. And I only said that because of the extra time between the last patch and this one. But they've done this thing so far where it's like 0.2 was a new class and 0.3 wasn't, and 0.4, so yeah.
Well, there is the Arcane Ranger in the files, right? And they have done this with Vrashta last time, where they just stealth dropped it one day before. So there's a chance we get an Ascendancy at least, I think.
They're probably, there's that chance. I didn't see the Martial Artist coming. Yeah, I thought it would be cool to have the Monk be the next one, actually, because I feel like the Monk could use it for some fun in there, I didn't think they were going to do like a whole martial artist. I didn't know what they were going to do, to be honest. But apparently, did you watch the Chris Wilson interview, by the way, you guys?
Yeah, I did.
With Jonathan Chris?
Okay. Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, one spoiler for the interview is he mentions in there that there's like a secret ascendancy, and he basically says it's the the Chalupa goes from Chalupa, the Chalupa Supreme or whatnot. So you actually have there's a secret monk ascendancy, which made me want to go like, well, okay. I wanted to play the Asmiri Spirit, which I am. I'm going to play that shit regardless. I guarantee you it's bait. We're all going to be walking around with the big slam monkey, and he's going to miss the white mob, of course. And then we're going to like, great, 13 seconds, I can try again. So I know that's going to happen, but I'm going to play it anyway. And then after that, I was thinking about trying the Secret Ascendancy. See what that's up.
Yeah, how many? I think the Abyssal Lich gets 3 nodes replaced on the Ascendancy. I think I remember that correctly, or is it 4? 3 or 4 of them get replaced.
Yeah.
By what he said in that like interview with Chris Wilson, he kind of made it out that it was only 1 or 2 nodes getting replaced on the Monk one. So I'm not sure what
better than I did.
That's going to be. Yeah.
But what did he say? What did he say that?
He said he was basically like giving a little bit of a teaser as to how you actually get it. He's like, you do this quest, then like you speak to the Dreamer as a particular class, and then you get one of your nodes. I think he actually said one of your nodes replaced, but it might have just been that it's one of those things where they probably have the idea and they think of some cool things, and that's just what it ends up being. I actually love those secret ascendancies. Is something that I really, really like about PoE 2 a lot. Like, the whole idea of the Abyssal Lich is so cool. So,
I didn't look into the Abyssal Lich much until actually, like, this month. I was watching some videos and shit. Like, I never played it, I was never really, like, a big Lich guy. The Lich is super cool. For whatever reason, I never really played much of it outside of, like, minion shit. And when I saw that node, which means you can like sacrifice minions for all these stats, I was like, oh, holy, like this class is like actually fucking insane. Like the amount that you can all in on one side. I didn't realize it was like that insane. And anyway, it looked really cool. There was a guy running around with 261 minions in my hideout the other day. And I was like, man, imagine if you would sacrifice all of those. Like, what kind of stats is this guy going to have?
You would actually do damage.
Yeah. You would die in tier 1 maps like he was.
All right, let's get into the major topic of this patch, which is the endgame. The biggest addition of all of them is surely the primary quest line, which is the Origins of Divinity, which is kind of adding a main goal on the Atlas for you to progress towards and go through this kind of quest with several bosses. We've got the whole sort of, you find a precursor tower, the first time you interact with it, all these walls come out of the ground, they form a very large fortress, and you got fortresses, like different sections in the fortress, and that's how you actually get your Atlas passive points. So, DM, what do you think about that addition, like the primary quest line there?
I mean, it's hard to tell until I play it. I like it in theory a lot better than running around chasing these stupid fucking nexuses to try the cleanse, and then you have to do the pathing to them, etc. The concept that's just a big area that you go and clear all of them is cool, but the part that I really liked, well, I mean, it's cool because then it's like I'm getting points as I'm clearing them, so I can still just like map, you know what I mean, and still get my Atlas points as opposed to, having to like go do maybe a map I don't want you. But the thing I liked about it seemed like you could boss rush. Like, you can go to where the boss is, right? Kill the boss, and then it just cleanses out that fortress. The part I didn't get from the... Because, I mean, I like destructive play from PoE 1. Like, I like boss rushing. I think it's really fun, right? So I like that they seem to have that in mind, which is nice. So you can have kind of a different style of play. I thought that was great. Obviously, I like the stuff about, like, there's containment, versions of maps, and there's other juicy types of maps you can get from farming those areas. That looks cool also. But the part that I was curious about that I don't really, maybe they explained in the Q&A, but the Q&A was like 7 hours long, so like I'm forgetting some of it. But is there one fortress area, or is it like you find another and then another and then there's a bunch? Like, how does that work? Is it one big fucking connected?
There's 6 different segments, and you basically clear one until you get the key. Then you go back to the boss and you activate one of those pillars, and then it clears that area. And you do that 6 times, and then you have everything unlocked.
And then there's no other fortress, is my point.
No, that fortress is basically cleared, yeah. Then
that
you can...
fortress. And then there's another.
Oh, no, there's no more fortresses. That is the hub, the initial hub. Then you're done, yeah. Then you have all your passive trees points, yeah.
That's the part that gets to my... Like, I'm curious about then, though, because the fortress seemed like some of the cool farming strats, right? Like, you have the essence only one within the fortress, you have the containment scared one, like you have different modifiers inside of it, and they have their own types of maps. So if I'm boss rushing,
those can spawn outside as well, but it's also in there as like a tutorial-esque. But those can also spawn
okay, I missed that part.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was like, that's just...
From what I understand.
I was under the impression that the maps inside the fortress has these like special modifiers on them, and those modifiers appear on the Atlas tree, and then you can apply those to maps outside the fortress once you've actually spec'd into them. So, like, for example, there was the one where you can activate an Asmeri Spirit, and it goes and like dunks on a strongbox, right? And then you get all the... Like, those are special.
I think the M is also talking about, for example, the Monster's Treasure one, where all of them are contained within strongboxes and whatnot.
Yes.
I don't think those you will get on the passive tree, right? Like, those will spawn randomly outside, as far as I'm understanding.
I guess where I'm getting at is, like, is there a limited quantity of map layouts and map bonuses that only appear within the fortress itself, meaning that if I choose to do this boss rush strategy, I am therefore cutting the balls off of my potential of farming later on into the game, is where I'm getting. Is there only like a certain amount of these and we're done?
I guess we don't exactly know, but that would make no sense to me. So I'm assuming, I'm assuming it can like spawn randomly outside, right? Like,
well, that's why I was thinking like there's got to be more than one fortress. Like, you complete this fortress and then you go and maybe you run into another one.
Maybe we don't know,
that's
right?
Why I was curious.
We don't know.
If it completes all the maps and we can't rerun them.
Yeah.
Then, like, I'm kind of missing out on some of that, stuff. If I know it's a choice I choose to do myself, but I'm just saying, like, if that's the way you do it, then you're kind
maybe there's some mysterious stuff they haven't talked about, right? For example, they said that you can actually get to, was it Kalgur, that you can get to when you just keep doing the island maps and you just go down? They said something like that. You can't do anything with it right now because it's expansion material, but you get somewhere. I don't remember what the city was, but
I think there is going to be a lot of things like that hidden away on the Atlas that they didn't actually talk about. Lots of things.
You know what I love about this is, like, we're all like, man, do you remember? I don't remember. Like, there's so much in this fucking reveal. We all don't. We can't even talk about it because we're all like, well, I thought it was this. Well, I thought I remember this.
It was a lot, right? Dude, I rewatched everything We rewatched everything 3 times, and I'm still hearing about new stuff. That's how much it was. Okay, it's hard to pay attention.
It's crazy. I actually, after that and the Q&A, when the stream was over, I literally turned off the computer and went to bed. It's like, I'm going to bed, bro. I'm not even making a video. I'm fucking tired, dude.
I'm done. Yeah.
Absolutely drained off that. It's crazy.
When it comes to the Atlas, the thing I like the most about this new approach is I really had 2 big issues with PoE2 so far. The first one being the layouts, which is probably something that's going to have to get adjusted over time, right? And they did talk a little bit about it. But the biggest second thing was purpose, right? Once you get to maps. And what I hear the most from my community as well is the campaign's really fun, but then they quit. And that's where I was starting to think, why is that? Is that because of the progression? But I think what it really is the purpose. During campaign, you kind of have this you have all structured activities. And once you get to maps, you just have this vast nothingness of nothing to do, right? Like it's like games that scale infinitely. It's not that interesting because you never have a real goal, right? Like it's just drains your time. And in that case, you at least have now, what is that going to be, like 100 hours probably, at least, of fortress completions and then all those quest lines. Especially since it's new, it might even be 100 to 150 hours. For a lot of people, maybe 200 hours, right? So you have this purpose. And I think for 99% of people, that's already going to do it. Because they're not going to play 500 hours, right? So I'm very excited about that, personally.
I agree. I agree, but also I think another big chunk of it too is like the Atlas tree actually hopefully not being complete dog shit. So it's like you have something, you have like purpose, but then you have reward on top.
Meta progression.
So, exactly. So you have this like sense of meta progression, and just like the amount of unlocks we get. Like we didn't even talk about the Atlas tree Ascendancies. Like the weird, like master shit. Maybe I think that looks more in depth than it probably is. I mean, I think there's like 12 buttons or something, like, you know, which I guess even that would be a lot for some things. But it's, but the sense of like you're actually constantly unlocking things as you go through. Because I think currently you go from tier 1 to like tier 15. I would say very quickly, but I would say in a way where you don't feel any different. Like I think the campaign progression of your character actually feels really good. Like I like some people think it feels like dog shit. I agree with the plus to levels being a problem, and we can all agree on those things. But the progression of like fresh character, you know, not twinked out gear. You're going through, you get your lesser jeweler, you get a new base type of weapon, you get like you feel chunky, you know, as you're going through. You're getting like these chunky upgrades. I feel that feels pretty good. But now I want that from the sense of like progression, like you're saying, the meta progression, like feeling these chunky bits of upgrades. Because before it's just, oh, now you're tier 3 map, now you're tier 4 map. Now you can go from tier 1 to tier 3 of the same fucking boss, which I also think was, you know, very boring also, right? So having the like, oh, I unlocked this fight, I get to fight the new Arbiter. I get to do like, they're all new bosses now, as opposed to find the same fucking boss 3 times and you have rewards that come with it. So I'm hoping to have that same feeling of like, oh, the next step was really cool. Okay, what's the next step? Like actually beyond just hitting maps.
Yeah, talking about bosses, I guess, do we even know what's going to happen to it? Because there's no more bossing tree, right? As far as I understand. Is that now on the main tree where you can make the bosses harder if you want to? Sorry,
that's a good point. I said that's a good point.
They didn't show it. Like, I wonder, like, do you think there still could be one though? Like, because they just didn't show it, right?
I don't think there. I think they would have probably shown it, but there's no way we're fighting 200k bosses in Endgame, right? So,
I think that perhaps they're moving more towards static values of that stuff modified by your Atlas tree. I think the bossing tree was actually pretty bad. I don't know if you guys liked it. I thought it was pretty bad. I think removing it and like working around the balance of what an in-game boss should be relative to the tier stone you're in and the modifiers you get it is a better way, as opposed to it's just a 10 out of 10 boss with 85 billion. I feel like you know, I'm doing the pit or something.
Maybe it is on the Atlas Masters, right? Because they showed, for example,
Hilda
on completion. Yeah, on completion, the map boss gives an extra unique. They showed us that. So maybe there's one that makes them like super juiced. Maybe there's no in between. There's just either normal or super juiced, but it drops like more loot.
Yeah, I think they like went in there and basically just like upheaval that whole sort of system of, you know, the old Atlas tree looked pretty bland. Then this like separate Atlas trees for all of the league mechanics. Those are still there, but they've kind of gone in and made them a bit more interesting, I think. But the whole idea of like the masters on top. I mean, something about the Atlas tree that we haven't discussed just yet is the fact that you can allocate all of the nodes You just you have all of them, which really took me off guard when I first heard it in the reveal.
Me too.
But then they said about how some nodes have 2 or 3 options, which is where your kind of customization element is coming from, along with the Atlas like master on top, right, that you pick for the zone. DM, what are your thoughts on that? Like fully speccing the Atlas versus having a limited amount of points to spend.
Yeah, I got some thoughts. So, like, I had the same reaction you did when they said you can get all of them. I was like, "Ooh, wait, hold on." That was my because I was like, "Oh my God, this looks hallelujah! The clouds have parted. Here comes the sun, baby. We got an Atlas tree, right?" And then they say you can get all of them. I'm like, I waited. I don't know about that because I part of what I liked about the concept of it is like, little DM here, I'm an Atlas farmer, and I choose to farm the Abyss, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you're specializing down, and you feel like this sense of I'm doing, like, a certain part of the economy, and that's where I get my excitement from. So, the opportunity cost. Then they show that you have the different modifiers. You can do, like, 1, 2, or 3, and they're fundamentally kind of different. I think that is okay, as long as it is positioned enough where these are all drastically different, and that the 400 nodes that we have on the tree, I'm a little worried that the part of the Atlas tree about having all 400 of the normal nodes means it's basically the Atlas tree we had expanded, is the way it feels. Because it's like, if you can have all 400 nodes, they can't all fundamentally conflict with each other, so they can't like do unique things, which makes that's what the bonus. Yeah, they're going to have to be like 3% rarity, like 15% more Asmiri spirits. Like, it's going to have to be that shit, right?
Well, you can still unallocate them. You don't have to allocate them, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be nodes against your point, I guess, where we're just not going to spec it. Like, I think that's still going to exist. Yeah,
that's a very
they actually discussed that right in the reveal. Like, Jonathan discussed how I think the exact design of the nodes they've gone for is ones to literally avoid that point that you just made there. Like that, they wanted to avoid that as much as possible. They probably still are going to exist on the Atlas tree, but they wanted to make it so that you didn't feel like you didn't want to spec anything. Because
they said, unless I missed what you're saying, they said they don't want you to spec into something, then it's a proc, and then you have to unspec it and spec into something else, like you did with the tablet effects or the biome stuff and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what they said, but or maybe they said that as well.
Yeah, that is what they said, but that would also mean for the opposite of, like, not wanting to have a node because of how it'll interact on the thing. But I think that's just how it's going to work, is that most of them are just, I guess, mostly upside, and if they're not, it will be a selection node like the one that they showed with the shrine, right, where you can make your character stronger for the boss fight, or you can make the boss stronger and drop more loot. Like that's an example of like a choice node where, like, if you want to, you can make it pure upside and just make the game easier. And so
the other part is,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I was just going to say, and so if you want to, you would be at any of those nodes that you feel like you wouldn't want to spec because they would make the game too difficult, or because they would ruin your build somehow, right, in a certain way. You wouldn't really do that, because you'd always choose the option that just makes you stronger.
Well, the part that I was thinking is like, okay, well, the part that could be really good is they're obviously trying to smooth out the parts of like PoE 1 that just frustrate people. And if you have an Atlas tree you really don't like in PoE 1, and you do this like a couple times, and maybe you fill all 3 of them something bad. Before we had the 3 Atlas trees, it was worse. But, changing your Atlas tree around is like kind of annoying. So I thought maybe what they did is they just wanted you to have like a sense of like progression. Like, you're literally just stacking and getting more and more and more. And then the notables do some changes. But then they have these like subsection of the Ascendancy classes, that they have the master choices and the real like fundamental changes they can put in there. And then as the game develops continually, they can add either more masters or they can add more nodes to the master. And then those you can just change kind of freely at will, as opposed to like having to redo an entire fucking Atlas tree. And the Atlas tree is basically, as it's growing, you're feeling that you're getting more and more and more and more juice. And okay, now you have maximum juice. You're 400 out of 400. Go change the notables to make it, the changes you want there, and then focus on something, more in the masters to like choose the way you want to farm. I thought maybe they could be doing something like that. And they're just kind of getting the skeleton out a little bit better. The other part, that go back to our conversation real quick about like unique bosses. We were talking about map bosses. I noticed that I think you said, Dreamcore, that they had stuff like that targeted on the masters, and I was wondering, I think they tagged those all unique monsters now, right? Because I noticed there's they have ways to like summon more map bosses like within the maps, and then you have the ritual, which you can have like 4 or 5 like unique mobs. So I wonder if they're trying to open up a strategy a little bit, because like killing boss mobs fucking sucks right now in the game. Like you don't get anything for it, right? It's just complete waste of time. So I'm like, I wonder if they're trying to open up the strategy where you could actually farm like map bosses a bit, like actually as a juicy strategy, as opposed
Actual boss
to just
rushing,
yeah.
I can see that with that. If you're going for that ritual, I think it's called the Ritual of the Nameless, where you have to, like, before you actually get to the pinnacle boss, you have to then do a ritual that rolls on per map, and you end up getting 5 map bosses. Well, then if you then apply all of those things from Hilda on there, right, where you get like an extra unique drop from the map boss, and you get all of this stuff, like, I think you can make it really juicy. Like, for example, you could have that. There's a Wisp node where it doesn't affect rare, like, it can't possess rare monsters, but it can only possess uniques. Yeah. So if you manage to spawn a bunch of Wisps into the map, then they just all rush to the map room, to the boss room right at the end, and there's just 5 bosses. I mean, you're probably going to die, but...
Do they actually rush there, or do they just not possess the rares? Because that's the question, really. Like, how do you get them to the boss? Do they automatically seek out the boss?
That is, even if it's like to them and you have to follow
away.
You got to follow them. I'm pretty sure. Like, you with a rare mob, it's just they'll ignore the rare mob, because if they're chasing, normally they chase a rare mob, and you chase them, right? And then they go into. I'm assuming it's the same ship, so you just follow them and you hike to the boss together, and they're like, there you go.
Let's hope.
I hope they've made them a bit faster, because if they're spawning right at the start of the map and you have to like run alongside them all the way to the boss room, that's going to be a bit strange.
One thing I wanted to add to the Atlas passive tree. So I agree with DM, and that's probably the thing I dislike the most, is that you don't really feel like you ever specialize in anything in this game. Also, with the specialized trees that we have now, you can spec into everything at the same time, and it kind of just, once again, feels like you open a map and you have like 5 things to do. Some people like that. I personally don't like that. I like being, I'm a ritual farmer. I'm doing breaches and whatnot. I don't like, what are you doing? Well, everything, because that's like, it's free kind of deal, right? But you can, to be fair, target with tablets, as they said. But the thing I dislike the most, which is a little bit weird to say, but so think about sharing Atlas passive trees. Like, I do this all the time. I want to see what other people are farming. You now have to hover over every selectable to know what they're actually doing. Because on the PoE 1 passive tree, you look at the tree and you're like, oh, they took these. But on that tree, it's like, they took everything, but let me hover over the 20 nodes that are all like selected, because it seems like the same icon as well. So it's maybe that's a little bit petty, but I really dislike that personally.
I would assume that this would be, that is a good point. I'm assuming it would be an easy solution by just having different icons. Like, as simple as okay.
So I guess we're learning the icons. Or we're learning the numbers that it says. One says 1 over it, one says 2. Maybe we're learning those. But
true. The numbers, yeah.
Maybe it's just the numbers.
I mean,
but
that's true. I don't know how they get around, that. They have 400 nodes, so it's not like, it's the same as the passive tree. You're gonna have to copy like 400 different. You just got to copy a bunch of fucking nodes. I mean, that's PoE.
It's also like, just generally speaking, a little bit more difficult to like follow along with someone's strategy, because when you think about PoE 1, like, I see this all the time on, like, someone, we'll be watching like Ben's stream, for example, and someone will ask him to show his Atlas tree, so it'll literally show it for like half a second, right? And then someone can just pause the stream, look at his Atlas tree when it's panned out, and that is enough information. Like, you can see what nodes everyone's taking and stuff like that. You're never going to have that, because when you're zoomed out, you're not going to see like the little like images or whatever, what numbers they are or anything like that. So that is definitely a really good point that I hadn't thought of.
Maybe the import-export will copy the Atlas tree.
Yeah, they could do that. Maybe that'll be coming next.
I didn't mean that you can't like copy it. Like, I just like looking over what people are doing, and it's like really quick, right? 5 seconds, you know kind of what they're doing, and you don't have that catch-all in this game. It's gonna be like, let me check. They're taking this here, they're taking that here, and it's like, maybe it's not that big of a deal, or maybe they thought about that, but.
The double-edged sword of adding more and more and more shit into the game. It takes longer and longer to copy the builds, I guess. Oh, but one other part we didn't. Well, I guess we briefly mentioned it, but about like the Atlas tree and trying to narrow down and do it your own type of farming strategy. It seemed like the League Mechanics trees actually got like significant amount of extra nodes, right? Because I mean, before they had I want to say like a dozen nodes, maybe 14, something like that. And now I was noticing they have like 33, like 30, like twice as many nodes per the No, of the league mechanic itself.
But in the reveal, it's weird because it shows, for example, for the Abyss tree was like, 31 points that you get, and the tree has 36, or what did we say earlier?
Yeah, something like that. I think it might have been 30 or something like that with 36
something
or 37.
crazy like that.
Yeah.
So my question is so do you also just fill that out and it's just there and everybody just gets everything?
They didn't mention that. They just said that they had changed those trees to improve them. But they didn't talk about how many points you get.
I didn't see that. I thought the 31 out of 31 meant they have, they acquired. Oh no, I see your point here. Actually, yeah, I think about it. They acquired.
Maybe it's just a dev thing, right? Maybe it's a dev build and they left that in or something. I don't know. No idea.
It could also be the case that when they made that footage, they didn't even know yet exactly how many points they were going to give for each tree. Because I think that each tree they don't all have the same number of passives, so they're probably just deciding what the correct number is to give you.
So, yeah.
I guess we'll find out. They're probably going to show those off in a bit more detail in the weeks leading up, like the nodes on the league trees.
They've got to limit the trees because they kind of fundamentally change the way it works. It would be a downgrade if you didn't limit it, right? Because then they would just have to give you quantity modifiers or something like.
Everybody's doing everything. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. They talked about this with the layouts as well, where instead of making them a little bit more compact, they are just no, we just need more stuff. So I think their idea is just we're gonna plaster it full with different mechanics, and you're just gonna do the different mechanics. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, right?
One of the other huge changes that's coming in this patch is the guaranteed Arbiter of Ash spawn, which means that now you kind of don't have to just go looking all over the place to try and get your tablet upgrade. So that's a big change. But not only that, the Arbiter of Ash is no longer the main pinnacle boss of the Atlas. We now have a brand new pinnacle. I don't think we know what the name of the boss is yet, but I think they kind of hinted that it's another Arbiter. People have been speculating that it might be called the Arbiter of Divinity, but that boss looks really cool. DM, what are your thoughts on the whole fixed? The first boss that you get to there, the Arbiter of Ash, is fixed, and you can kind of progress.
Okay, so we're running to another one of these situations in which it's I watched the reveal and I didn't see the same thing. So I thought that what it was the fixed Arbiter, obviously we have the Burning Monolith or whatnot, right? We have the equivalent of that, and there's fixed spawn of where you actually enter the boss. But I thought we still had to get the fragments for the Arbiter of Ash, but now we have the other Arbiter, in which you fight as part of the questline or whatnot. But I thought the Arbiter Ash was still they specifically showed Citadel still in the reveal, right? So don't we still have to go get these fragments?
The Arbiter of Ash is just, I don't know, it unlocks the tablets being able to get rare, right? That's its purpose now. But when it comes to the fortress, that is now the new boss that you have to fight 6 times for the 6 regions, right? With the pillars going up. That's how I understood it.
You have to fart 6 times. I thought...
That's how I understood it, yeah. And it gets stronger and stronger over time. That's what I
thought there was the Divinity guy.
Yeah, that was the Divinity. Sorry. Yeah, the Ash is separate now. I'm just... Because you said you think it's in the fortress. No, but the Divinity is the fortress, and the Ash is just disconnected, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Burning Monolith. We have the Burning Monolith. It's still
exactly. Okay, yeah.
On the Divinity we fight to complete the thing. He's the precursor.
Oh,
guy.
yeah. No, it was weird. It was weird because in the trailer, if you guys remember, the what looked like the Burning Monolith was inside the fortress. It was part of the fortress, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it was weird, I think.
Yeah.
But it is guaranteed. The first spawn of the Arbiter of Ash is static. You know where the keys
inside the
are.
Fortress. Inside the fortress.
Ash is static, or Arbiter of Divinity is static? Because Arbiter of Ash only has one spawn, right?
Both. The Arbiter of Ash is part of the fortress, and the Citadels are also in one segment of the fortress. Yeah. One of the 6 segments. That's how.
But the thing is, the first Arbiter of Ash is the only one that's static. Everyone after that, you have to still go and find the Citadels, right? But they made it so the first one's static just so you can get the upgrade for your tablets, which I think is a really good change, because I remember I've had this actually more than once where I've literally... Which league was that? 0.3. I was level 96 or 7 before I found my first Citadel, which is absolutely absurd, by the way. And then it happened again in the next league. I was 94 or 95 before the first Citadel, which is just crazy. So having that as a fixed spawn alleviates a lot of those problems there, because I think for the most part you're going to find people just going for Arbiter of Ash, they get their upgrade, and then they're going to just be settled into the core Origins of Divinity questline and boosting up their Atlas tree and stuff. And they might not even interact with the Arbiter of Ash again for a long time. But yeah, just having
I guess I missed the Ash. I missed the Ash part. I saw it. I have one actually way bigger question about this whole thing though. So Arbiter of Ash is the third edict. Arbiter of Divinity is the first edict. Who the fuck's the second edict?
No, Arbiter of Ash is the fourth edict.
Even better.
The third edict is the weapon that we make. The first edict is Divinity. And the second edict is the Beast. Creation of the Beast.
That's the Beast.
Yeah, so basically the whole idea of the edicts is they're all a reaction to each other, right? Like they created Divinity, then the gods are getting out of control, so they made the Beast to keep the gods in check. Then the Beast is getting out of control, so they make the weapon to get rid of the Beast. And then if all else fails, they have the Fire Seed to purge the world, right? Of everything. So and they're obviously hiding underground so that they can just come back up again and start anew.
So does that make us the fifth edict since we killed the Arbiter of Ash, or is the fifth edict the dude that shows up on the bird?
Well, we're stopping them from enacting the fourth edict, right? Because the fourth edict is the whole world gets purged, basically. So we're
3.5.
Yeah,
basically. It makes plenty of sense. God, yeah, great. Good thing you know the lore, dude.
I mean, that's... I don't think we knew what the first edict was until this, reveal here. That was the... I mean, they actually have it in the trailer, right? They said, behold the first edict, and then, this is the Arbiter of Divinity, so that's what it is. But...
Yeah, I definitely knew all of this, yeah.
I gotta say, I felt like it's cool to see in the reveal, but I feel like there's a pretty decent amount of spoilers. Okay, spoilers, ARPG, whatever. But I mean, there's kind of a lot of they show a lot of these fights, and it's I get it. You got to be look at the girthy up there. I get it. Yeah, they're out there showing off. But I was damn, dude, you got to see almost all. I guess there's 15 of them. We saw 8 of them or something. But it was you're showing a lot of this.
For me, it felt almost like Jonathan was a YouTube creator and he was doing a rundown of everything. That's how it felt at times. He was going through every step of the way. And then Mark spoilers the Delirium encounter and he's like, well, is Tangmazo actually bad? Well, once you fight the end boss, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, people who care about that would have been a huge reveal. What the hell?
They spoiled the entire, in one of the other interviews. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but with Legendary Drops, they talk about Tangmazu, and he says the entire mechanic, how the boss fight works, how to defeat him, fucking everything.
That's crazy.
And I was oh my God, spoilers, dude.
The crazy thing about that is, the Delirium is a pretty big fan favorite league from PoE 1, that's been there for quite a long time. And there was always this mysterious figure. And he's kind of interesting as well when you compare him to other league mechanics. He's always whispering in your ear and stuff like that, And they're actually introducing him in this patch, and they just kind of go and almost spoil most of it right in the reveal. Speaking of those new league updates, we've got new pinnacle for Delirium, like we were just mentioning there. We've got a new pinnacle for Ritual as well. And obviously Breach is getting the kind of PoE 1 Keepers of the Flame treatment, but arguably that was developed for PoE 2 and they kind of had it ready to go. What do you guys think of those league upgrades? DM, what are your thoughts on the whole static positions of those leagues on the map? As soon as you get into the end game, they're there, you can just go straight for them if you want and you know where to get to them.
It's an interesting way of doing it because you need a direction on the atlas to make it feel less what the fuck do I do now? So I get the solution of it. One of the thoughts I did have immediately when I saw it is okay, so they go forcibly in the direction, kind of in the biome, right? They, the ritual is in the forest, right? So does that mean that these are going to spawn, you're only going to have certain layouts for these? Is that we're only going to have, it's in a certain area, right?
Oh, you mean it could be biome-based?
I think it's biome-based.
Well, they are spawned in biomes, right? The Calgary,
but you
the
can...
fucking ocean,
But some of them, the ocean is fixed, right? But the other ones, can't you drop them wherever you want later on, so you can kind of decide where you drop
tablets and stuff, right? later on farming, I think. But I'm saying the beginning when it's
the beginning is static, yeah. It's all static. Yeah, I think the area is completely controlled, yeah. At layouts
so the maps, the layouts, the maps, everyone's experience is going to be.
I assume.
or in the mire or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, don't say mire. That's mean. But I mean, you would think they would handcraft it, right? Because then they can make it thematic, and they really care about like immersion. So you'd think so, right?
I think they could kind of predetermine some of the stuff, like the things that are really important. Like, for example, they actually showed the Breach Monastery on the Atlas, right, at the top of the mountain. So, like, the maps that lead to that will be definitely those, like, them, like, Cryer Peaks, like, mountaintop maps that they have in the, like, towards the interludes, right? Those would make sense there, but I think my guess is most of the, like, basic sections will just be in a particular biome, and you'll just get a random map that makes sense in that biome. Like, it might be that it's fixed, but it might just be biome-based, and you just get random layouts.
Yeah. I don't really think it's a big deal. I don't think it really matters. I was just kind of curious when I saw it originally. I think it might be a little initially confusing for people. I know the whole point is to like not be confusing, but I think it might initially be a little confusing for people when they realize like, oh, if I want ritual, I have to go to the ritual area. And then later on you realize, well, ritual was actually everywhere. You know what I mean? You can do it. Like that part will probably take a little, getting used to, but I suppose that's the game in and of itself, baby.
What about the actual like updates to the league? So we have Delirium is now getting a bar at the bottom, which is kind of interesting because they're adding like specialized encounters to the Delirium mechanic. You break the mirror to begin with. Then as you progress, you get these little icons spawning above the bar, and you get things like they talked about a purple mirror which you can shatter. It makes some more dangerous monsters around it. And they talked about a red mirror that you can shatter to like go to a different zone. It looked like the PoE 1 Infinite Hunger Boss zone, like where you have to kind of escape. And then they said that there's actually kind of a potentially good reward there where you get the amulet that's double anointed. How do you feel about those league upgrades, DM? Like especially with those Delirium?
Apparently, I didn't understand it because the first time I watched it, I thought it was a timer. I was watching this shit, I'm like, oh, that's a time, like it's, you're filling, it's, how Delirium has like a timer basically.
No, you have to follow the stream of shit to hopefully when you get out, not getting shit. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's completely there. And then the I thought like, okay, it's filling it up. That's me increasing the timer and like doing the mechanic enough to unlock the things. And then the one at the bottom is like the timer of it, eking up to how far I'm in, and then it will. That's not even how it works. That's not how it works at all.
He's talking about no, that's all true, but he's talking about the red mirror that appears where he walks like in and you get into a different area.
I know, right? I know that. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm talking about like when I was looking at the Delirium, like in the bar in the hole, I was like, oh, it has nothing to do with that. It's a fucking compass. Is what? So it's the little dot is where it's like the compass.
Oh, I see.
And I was like, oh, that's so confusing. Like, that's a directional compass. Apparently, I'm the only one who did not understand that. Yeah,
just progression.
Like, oh, no, that shows you what, because if you hold still, it just stops moving. So it literally shows you where you're supposed to go, and that is, like, the directional bar to show you where the content is. So I was like, what the fuck?
That's a Skyrim thing, right? Like, a Skyrim did that wall, right? Maybe that's why. Yeah.
It's so confusing because the breach is just a bar. You fill it the fuck up. Like, that's what it's completely confusing to me. Yes, the whole red mirror thing is cool and the additional rewards. I mean, what's not to like? We got more shit. It was pretty boring before. You just walk around, you can't see shit, you kill the dudes, and maybe you get some emotions or something. Like, yeah, I mean, the mechanics were pretty boring before. So I will say, the emotion thing where you have to farm certain bosses to get certain emotions is kind of interesting, because I don't necessarily hate the concept of that, but imagine that you're playing SSF, and again, you can't develop the game around this, but I'm just saying, just for the conversation, and you're trying to find this one certain emotion which just happens to be on Mire. So now what you got to do is you got to hunt down the Mires that you don't want to do anyway because you hate the map, and then only those, so you're going to have to do the thing of going and doing the maps you don't want to do to get to the map you really don't want to do, so that hopefully the emotion drops with the Delirium. It made me laugh a little bit when I realized you have to hunt certain bosses to get certain emotions out of it.
I mean, what makes me think here is really the amount of micromanaging we're going to have to do. Like, so on top of everything we just said, there being regions that we have to micromanage, there being maps that we have to micromanage, which of the Atlas Masters we're going to select for what map, right? So, for example, there's one that randomizes your map. So if you have a shitty map, you're probably going to do the randomizing and hope you get a better one. And then there's probably another one where you get another revive and better loot. So we're going to macromanage that. You only want to put your best tablets in the best possible map. So you have different sets of tablets for different maps. And then on top of that, on all of that, you also have these regions. So, and then what you said. So in general, I'm just like, is this going to be like a lot? That's what I'm
like the Abyss
right
League, a game where you have to do a lot of different things to run one map. I don't think so.
Sounds a lot.
I have my optimistic side of it, which is actually, this is what we're asking for. We're asking for specified ways to delve down into one specific thing to have our own farming strategy. That's what we constantly talk about winning, right? So like if they cut up all the things in different ways and, you know, make it where you can have a different little segment of the economy, I think that will be the result. That's
great. No, that's great. I'm not talking about the specializing. I'm more talking about just like on the one hand, they give you everything and everything with the trees. And on the other hand, they're like, no, but you like, is it just going to be, you're going to still not do anything else but the one region? Because it's just so efficient and so good only in that region, and the whole economy is going to be balanced around you only doing ritual in ritual regions and you only doing breach in breach regions, and all the other stuff is a waste of time. You know what I mean?
I think that is more of a symptom of having a lack of things to do. Like, I think that when there's not much variety, well, then there's only one obvious choice. We're all just farming fucking divines anyway. Which shits out the most divines? Pick that one and then buy whatever, right? As opposed to like we have a bajillion more crafting currencies now to actually farm. We have a much larger variety of things to which acquire, which hopefully evens out the market a little more. Different people want to get different things. So I would, that would be my assumption of it. By the way, what the hell is going on with your chair? Like, is your thing floating? Is your headrest looks like it's like, are you green screening out? Is your chair half green? Like what?
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I'm so confused, dude. Like, you move your head just enough to cover the thing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with it?
It is kind of freaky. You're not wrong, actually. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Going back to the distilled emotion thing you're talking about with the like more specific.
Can
matches, yeah. No, I was just gonna say like.
Sorry, because I had a completely different point this one.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually see it from the complete opposite direction with SSF. I think this is exactly what you want in SSF. Like, you want a specific map boss to drop a specific emotion because you can actually target farm it. How it would be before is that, let's say you had a really rare emotion, you're just waiting for it to drop. You're just farming Delirium endlessly waiting for it to drop, and there's like a tiny chance for it to drop. Having it on a specific boss means that it has a much higher chance to drop because that's how they do like target farming, right? But you just can't get it anywhere else. So now you're going to be able to actually chase it down and lose it. I do think that the game from an SSF perspective looks really good this patch, I have to say, from a lot of the changes they're making.
That's a good point. Yeah.
On the topic, because we're talking about Breach a little bit, and we're talking about kind of specializing. The real issue is if you have something like Temple that is just good for everything, it just drops everything well, then it becomes an issue what we just talked about before. But as you said, if it's a little bit more specialized, then that becomes not too much of an issue. So what they did with Breach, for example, is they made it specific for jewelry crafting. And with Ritual, the rework means that it's only going to give you uniques. So you have kind of purpose with all of those mechanics. So that kind of fixes what we talked about, I guess. And I wonder if they're going to do that for more and more things. And I guess indirectly, Expedition with its runes, which are craftable only in sockets, are only for body armor and helmet and gloves and boots, right? So you have these separate categories, I guess. And that's how they're trying to
I'm just sitting here realizing it was like, oh yeah, the breach tree. Yeah, we got to talk about the breach tree. And then you bring up the runes. Oh yeah, 160 new runes. We got to talk about the runes. Oh yeah, that brings up the new fucking league mechanic we haven't even talked about.
PoE 2 is supposed to be easier than PoE 1, right? Like, just throw out 500 different items. Why would we need a crafting bench? Just throw out 500 different items, man.
The scale of shit that it's like, yeah, Won't somebody think of the poor content creators having to figure all this out and answer questions? They're the real victims. I don't know who they would be, but I feel bad for them. So I have to figure out all this shit. It's like, I don't know, bro. I'm for one, am glad that I'm positioned as just playing the fucking game, and I don't have to go out here and solve all of these problems and do, a million breakdowns of what this means and build guide. My import export build guide's going to be, you're going to import it. It's going to say, I don't fucking know. Figure it out. Right in every single socket of inventory. Because, good God, dude. I hear that people will go on.
Let's talk about the Genesis tree a little bit, because we just mentioned it there. It's jewelry only now. So rings, amulets, belts, and it looks really strong. Like the crafting looks very, very powerful. I think you're basically getting like all of your insane items from that, because it also has its own base types that you can only get from that tree. And even beyond that, just like being able to exclude certain bases so that you more likely get other ones is very, very powerful. DM, how are you feeling about that? Like, just being able to farm breach and craft some...
I'm going to be honest, I'm 50-50 on the breach tree. I didn't like it in PoE 1. When I saw it came to PoE 2, I was like, really? Really? So, I will say, I like that it seems to be much more like they're specializing it down. Like, this is a solution to getting rings and amulets. You know what I mean? Or belts, I guess. Like, here you go. You can do that. You have a little thing where you make the guy happy by putting 60 rings on him. I'm sure it's going to be this, you trade in 60 breach rings and you get, Graspy Mel or whatever the fuck is called, the unique from PoE 1. It'll be something similar. So, that's cool. And it'll be great for SSF, and it'll be great to be able to make your own gear. And I'm sure there'll be... My problem... I don't really have a problem. My concern, I guess, with the Genesis tree is it's going to be like, oh, you don't have the absolute perfect amulet? We'll just go do these 15 steps and poop out the best amulet in the game. And then, there you go. That's how you get it for now in the Eternity. Did you do your check mark yet of, did you poop out your amulet yet this season? Well, okay, you need to go do it. I hope it's not one of those. I'm okay with a pseudo lottery poll. You aim in the direction... You shoot in the direction that you want something to come out, and then something potentially good can come out. But if it's super down to the point of you just, you have this huge fucking tree, and you can go it down like it was in the PoE 1, and you just poop out exactly the item you want. I'm a little I kind of hope it's not that. Really cool. It brings a lot of new bases, etc. I love to see the new mana, the mana percentage base, the life percentage base. That's fantastic. So I think it's going to open a lot of options there. Hopefully, maybe we'll see some, I don't know if they talked about Foulborn type of stuff or anything like it. Maybe they have another opportunity to do something,
that's
in that regard.
Cultivation or basically, right? So
right. I was wondering, and that's for Vol uniques only. So I thought because they did it that way, then maybe, the Foulborn was pooping out.
I don't think we need more items. I'm just gonna say let's just.
Okay, well.
I will always take more unique items. So when I first saw the Genesis tree showing up, I was like, yes, give me those Foulborn uniques. And then it was just jewelry. So I was scared.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so
I really like the new... Sorry, yeah?
No, I was just going to finish up saying, I'm not fundamentally opposed to the Genesis tree with the lessons learned from PoE 1, basically. But I really didn't like it in PoE 1 because as a mid-tier player, whatever you want to call it, ZDPS Andy, I as soon as the Breach tree came, that I felt an enormous gap in what I would consider my progression of my character. Because it used to be I got triple res, a movement speed, a big life. I felt great about it. I was like, that's a good item for me. I love that. I'm happy for me. But then it became the expected, immediately. You can make hundreds of these things. They're completely worthless. So if we don't have that same problem with rings and amulets and they just basically go through the roof with how, immediately strong they are, that would be my one concern. Outside of that, I'm okay with it, with lessons learned. Anyway, what's your take, pal?
There's one thing I really like about getting jewelry up front is it was one of the hardest things to gear for, especially for SSF. And what you had on body armor is you were pressured a lot in terms of suffixes. On League Start, try getting your armor base, then getting armor applies to elemental damage, and then also getting, on every single gear piece, and also getting your res fixed, right? So I think if this is, well-rolled, which I expect it to be, and I think we even saw well-rolled, then capping your res is going to be a lot easier. And I'm not talking about, rarity. Later on, you obviously need rarity on all your rings and whatnot, but early on, just for res capping alone, you can have a ruby ring, a little bit of cold res, a little bit of lightning res. That might just already fix all my issues in mid-game, which I like a lot. So that might be an indirect buff to evasion and armor, and especially also energy shield, of course. But evasion and armor in particular also need a suffix, whereas energy shield builds usually have some way to recover energy shield a little bit weirder. They don't really need faster energy shields, or their suffixes are not as cluttered. Right? So that's my first thought. But my second thought is I really like what the new base type, the amulet base type, does for a lot of builds, where you get an aura, right? Like, so you in your implicit at the cost of -1 prefix and -1 suffix. And people are saying, oh, that's great. But I'm thinking it's actually OP on some builds. So for example, if you're a Darkness build that has no spirit, or you are Chaos Heart and you have no spirit, that's now your best aura that you get, not the next best after you have everything already, right? So that's like your only aura. So you're now able to get at least one aura on those builds where you wouldn't before. So I think it's actually a lot more impactful than anything else. And on the second part, I don't think it's going to shit out GG amulets. I don't think it could, because if you think about how amulets are made right now, they have such specific things that you need on every single one. And +2 level spirit, that's just starting it out. So you're still going to fracture. So I think it's mostly just going to be a really good mid-game thing, or for endgame, it's going to give you fracture bases. And I think that's a great place to be. But yeah,
I agree with I agree with the take about bases. Like having good bases or good things that didn't hit with a fraction or been built upon. I would like that positioned as well for the trio.
I think they're also going for something there where they like you have a good base to then craft like beyond with these new things they're introducing, like the alloys and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of those are like, here's a strong modifier, but this is the only place you can get it from. And to use it, you need to remove one of your current modifiers and then add a new one. So I think the whole idea of like, here's a ring that I got from the Genesis tree, and it has like 2 or 3 good modifiers and maybe 1 or 2 that I don't really like too much. And you can always like, you can continuously get those types of rings that you can then progress. Like it's providing you the opportunity to make something really good, but you still have to get there with it. So I don't mind it too much.
You guys are making a good point here. You're convincing me to it. Because the other thing is like where I think PoE really shines with the crafting is when you get something from one mechanic and then you put it into another mechanic and you juice it up a little bit, and you take it to the other mechanic, you mix it out. You really feel like you're doing something. You're sharpening it, you're going to this and then buffering that. You're mixing all the different mechanics in. Is when it really starts to feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm making an item, guys.
Another thing I really, I don't think the tree is going to be as bad as in PoE 1. First, as we just talked about, I think it's just better implementation than in PoE 1. It has like a purpose. It's not just, because in PoE 1, if the breach tree is not good, it sucks, because it's just everything, but less efficient than something else. But in this, in PoE 2, it has a purpose, right? So that's the first thing. But the second thing is, let's be real, the speed in PoE 1, right? Like it feels bad having to go to the tree. Whereas in PoE 2, you're already like, oh, I have to open my atlas. It has a little bit of a loading screen, this and there. Like it's not the same. It doesn't feel, you don't feel as pressured to be like super fast because the game is a different speed. So I think having to go there, and you still do have the 100k blood maximum. So you can still do it once in a blue moon. I don't even know how long that's going to take in PoE 2 with the current layouts. One thing I wanted to talk about as well is I am a little bit concerned about Breach. I don't know if you guys saw the footage where he filled up the meter. It seemed pretty much like PoE 1, but you're a lot slower, and also you cannot choose your layout. So how often are you going to spawn your Breach in an area where there is no hope of you ever completing the Breach? Like that's going to happen constantly, right?
Yeah, that's already something that I think Ritual has struggled with a lot in PoE 2 in the past, where it's like the rituals just spawn right in the corner of the room, or like even in like a crevice of a like a rock wall, right, or something, and you basically have no room to move at all. And it's kind of the same way when you were previously getting breach spawns in these really bad layouts, you just hated it. It was like the worst mechanic ever. So
think about doing a breach in like Underground Sea in PoE 1. It's like you're not doing it. But in PoE 2, it's like, is that another sort of thing you always have to think about? It's like, no, I'm not going to put my breach tablets in if my layout is shit. But then you also want to have the master that gives you a random layout, so you're hoping to get a better layout. Isn't that just going to be awkward?
I think that's just solved by them making sure you have enough time to do it, though, right? Like, isn't that just make sure?
I'm just saying, in the trailer, it looked a little bit fishy. That's all I'm saying. It looked.
The way I saw it was that if you're in the breach zone, you're doing the breach for like not always the hive, but you're doing like the wall version of the mechanic, right?
Yeah.
You're in the breach zone.
Oh, that's not what I mean. No, I meant the normal breaches. The normal breach. Yeah. If you're in the hive, sure. That's fine, yeah. I meant more like the normal breach encounters, yeah. Which are very geographically dependent, let's say.
Right. Well, I was going to say was like, because you're going to be doing those in the breach zone. And then as you go out, let's say you're beyond, you maxed out everything and now you're just farming, right? You kind of get to choose the map you want. I mean, not if you're trying to go in a certain direction, I guess, but you don't always have to like just play maps you don't want. You kind of have a little bit of an access, to the, hopefully your grand projecting, etc. on the way. By the way, did you see that they talked about grand project being added to all the towers in the Q&A? I don't know if you caught that part or not. They didn't say it did get added. He brought it up.
He got asked about it, right? Didn't he get asked about it by Ziggy? And he said, might be an idea for the future. It wasn't that what
yeah, it was. He wasn't. That's what I'm saying. He brought it up.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't completely opposed to the idea of the grand project being added and everything. And I was like, man, I really hope that he keeps hammering on that, because I sure as fuck would love that, because then you can just go tower to tower and not have to constantly do it. This would solve part of the issue you have with Breach.
Yep, that would solve a lot of issues, yeah. I think, but I don't know if that would like kind of destroy the integrity of what they want, because then you would just be jumping around everywhere, and it would maybe look weird. That. Maybe it would look weird. You're like, okay, here is where I connected, but then there's no connection. I can just go over here. I don't know. It would definitely be a solution. Yeah, for sure.
We're literally already doing that.
This kind of goes back to
We're already doing it with the extra steps. Yeah, true.
This does kind of go back to the earlier topic we were talking about. When you've completed the first quest line in the fixed area, like, can you place the thing wherever you want, or does it have to be in a specific biome? Because if you can place it literally wherever you want, then you do have quite a bit of agency over like which maps could appear there.
I think everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
if it's everywhere, then I think you can pretty much solve that just by picking like where you place it, right? Because you can basically you can find a decent region on the atlas where you can say, okay, here's this biome. It has 2 bad maps and 4 okay ones and 1 good one, as opposed to like
I'm just saying layers of micromanaging upon micro. That's more what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't solve it. I'm just saying in order to solve all the things we talked about leading up to now, that is a lot of micromanaging. Yeah. And then on top of that, the tablets we haven't even talked about, which is even more micromanaging. So that's what I'm saying. But
I feel like
don't shoot the messenger. I'm just
can't really like fully solve this until you give like that true agency over the map layout. Like,
we'll have to play, right? Like, I don't want to criticize too much. It's just something I'm thinking about, and whether it's actually going to feel good. But I mean, critiquing it before we have played it makes no sense anyway. So
yeah. All right. So another huge thing coming in this patch is 2 brand new Ascendancies. We're getting one for the Huntress, the Spirit Walker, and one for the Monk, the Martial Artist. Because DM has already decided on his starter, right, which is going to be the Spirit Walker, I want to just kick off with DM. What do you think about that class?
Okay, well, I did a 180 on this class immediately. I never give a fuck about the Huntress. I thought the Ritualist was kind of cool. You get an extra ring, you mana stacker or something, right? Like, it has some fun stuff there. I never really cared about Amazon. I literally just ascended to Amazon the first time ever yesterday, because I just never cared about this thing. It just seemed like I purely pick it for damage reasons class, nothing like exciting really going on there, right? So when I heard the Asmirian Spirit was like a thing coming, I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care about the Huntress at all. You got how cool can Wisps be? Like, the lamest thing in the game, right? No one cares about the Asmirian Spirit shit. And then they showed, and I still kind of didn't care when they showed the Stag and the Owl. I saw the Bear. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. The Bear's cool. And then they show you can tame the unique mobs. Like, you can tame bosses. And I was like, all right. Like, Huntress is back on the menu, boys. Immediately, I knew I was doing the Pokemon Master build. So that, I'm starting that shit 100%. I think me and, like, 90% of everybody is going to go tame the monkey, right? Like, that's got to be immediately what everyone says. It looks fun as fuck. I think it's going to be bait, and I think it's probably going to be pretty dog shit. It's either going to be dog shit or way too OP. I don't know how the hell you balance having a boss as a pet where it's either way too good or really fucking bad. It's going to be one or the other. I think it's going to be terrible. I'm sure as hell going to play it. I think it looks awesome.
I personally think it's going to be OP somewhere, because there's going to be, there's going to be some weird thing where you're going to put in the tablets that add extra modifiers to unique bosses, and then there's going to be some way to tame those, and it at least on Tame Beast says it keeps the modifiers, but I don't know if that's just for the rares or for the uniques as well. So
then, I thought about this deal, yeah.
how's that going to work? Is there like some mod that reacts with a certain beast boss, or maybe a boss that isn't technically a beast, but it kind of is? Like, is a Ziria beast? It's literally called the beast, right? Stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. And then you're going to have some abomination that's just going to jump across the screen, obliterating everything. So if that's the case, then yeah. But the problem I have is if I leak start this, right, and it's going to be dog shit until you get there, I have to be the one that sticks with it for like 5 days, testing out every single combination.
Hell yeah.
And if I reroll off of it before, now I'm the dumbass who rerolls, and then 5 days later it's like, yo, Reddit thread about, this class is actually OP. I can't believe people rolled off of it. And it's like this one boss that's like in the corner somewhere there, and nobody even knew it was a beast. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But you're gonna be that guy. You're gonna be that guy.
Let me ask you a question. If you started playing Pokemon and you got a Pidgey, and then you're like, the Pokemon fucking suck. This Pidgey sucks. He ain't shit on my Rattata.
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's your fault. It's
part of the game. Yeah,
make it to the Elite Four.
I just want you to know what you're opting into, DM. I'm taking care a little bit. You know?
I'm gonna team the Pidgey.
I'm
gonna team the Rattata. I'm gonna get the Geodude. I'm gonna try them all, bro. Eventually, one of them is gonna be the Charizard. But you got to try. You know, you
gotta try. Yeah, that's true.
I saw that class, so I thought that looks really cool. And then I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, when you look at all of like the unique bosses, they're all very specifically designed with like a lot of these big kind of large upswing, like big attack that does a lot of damage to you that you need to avoid because they've been designed as like bosses that you're fighting, right? Yeah. So I feel like they're going to be quite good at like killing the map boss and killing rares, because like you can imagine like the monkey just doing his like triple spin and then slam on the boss and maybe just one shot. So I don't know, right? But like as like a mapper, right, just running around with the monkey, I don't think that's going to be very fun. Like maybe he'll occasionally do a roll on top of some monsters, but like otherwise.
But you got to remember, you have to bear. You have to bear, right? You got to remember.
Yeah.
You do have to bear.
Yeah, but
is the bear enough though? Like with a bear and the monkey.
It's not just that. You have the node that makes it where you can tame another beast that's a different beast. So you can go get the dinosaur, you can do the Oscrix thing, get the fucking dinosaur with the AoE.
Or the scepter, where you can tame every single, like what's the scepter again? You can get one of each type.
Oh, that's the one that has the special like wolf as well, right, attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. So probably that, and then you have the wolves to mostly clear small stuff, right? Like I could
that's
definitely,
probably what a zoo strat. Yeah, if there's a zoo strat going, that, I could definitely see that. That's really OP.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It's a minion build, boys. I mean, unfortunately,
it is. We're not getting around
that's
that.
what we're doing here.
The allegations are out there. It's like, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah.
So for that class, what about the other stuff? They have like the there's the owl one, right? So they have like the wisp interactions. You can choose the different wisps, and they have like
cares. Like that.
They're not minions.
That's what I mean.
They're not minions. DM isn't even interested. He's not even listening to you right now. Like he doesn't.
I know. There's another node. Nah, fucking dude.
To be fair, I think most people are going to be playing like the Tame Beast unique on that class, because it's like the standout one node that makes it like really, really different compared to anything else in the game. So that's I do really like the design they're going for though in PoE 2. Like it feels like that with Ascendancies and like a lot of the new unique items they introduced. They're really introducing a lot of completely unique play styles that you can't get anywhere else, and I really, really like that a lot. Like we saw it with the RF staff, right? The Raven staff. Like that's super cool, because that's a playstyle that's completely enabled by a unique item. You can't get it from another class or different weapon type or something like that. Maybe in the future you'll be able to get something similar, but for now you can't.
For the owl, Dreamcore, you talked about this before we started. The ability for it, so it stacks up and you get 2 projectiles. And whenever you activate a projectile skill, it can get up to +6 projectiles. It has like stacks and you can consume them. And then you get projectile speed and you get additional projectiles. And you were saying, what if it snapshots with stuff like mortar cannon?
Yeah.
You pop down your mortar cannon, which has a duration attached to it, and it snapshots the +6 projectiles, and you're just going to be throwing out 1,000,000 grenades, right? That's a choice. And then the second one is for the stag. I was thinking about you could make a build that just revolves around the stag, where you take the 2 stag nodes, then you take the other 2 nodes just to be able to take the what is it called? there's like the node where if you take all of the minions, there's like a secret node.
Yeah, the secret node, yeah.
You take that one where the stack auto-targets, like it literally seeks out enemies. And then all you have is basically this proc, which the stack does like 360% damage, and it can proc every 0.3 seconds. And it seeks out enemies. And on top of that, you get the bear defensive aura. It's not really for damage, but you get the bear defensive aura. Plus, you can put the support on where it takes some of your damage as well. So you could have just a proc, like a cast on crit-ish, where on every single attack, you get 364% extra damage. I don't know if that's worth an Ascendancy, but somewhere in there is definitely a normie build, not just a companion build. That's for sure. And it might just be Twister, like everybody talks about. It might just be Twister, or it might be something very generic. But I mean, the sentence, it looks great. It looks great. Yeah.
The Stampede actually looks really nice. So that is something that it might be really nice for like just general mapping. So that is something I hadn't thought about. Yeah. And then of course we have the Martial Artist, which is a new monk Ascendancy, and that one has some interesting things going on. We got a node where you get a bunch of extra rune sockets, like that you can just place a bunch of extra runes in, which is kind of interesting. There's one where you can channel. You can with the channeling one, can you actually move in all of the things?
Ziggy did post on Reddit saying that they made a change where you can move slowly while using it. So it's not only holding still. That's what they showed in the video, only holding still, but you can slowly move while channeling.
Now, the question is that going to work with movement speed penalty? Kind of like the fire breath from the dragon, right? From, I already forgot, Wyvern, right?
It should do.
Is it going to work like that? Because then you could actually be pretty fast. You walk around and you're just going to rolling slam everything or whatever you want to do. Could be interesting. Yeah.
I actually really like to look at that one in particular, because I think that if you can kind of do all of these things to invest into it heavily, I think it will be really good at some point. It looks, from the footage that they showcased, it kind of didn't look that great, but I think that there's a lot of avenues there to scale it up. So that's quite a fun one. DM, what do you think about that?
I saw it and immediately thought that's bait. It was like my first, that was my first reaction, bro. But that was when I didn't realize that
it's not a minion.
Made a change
as well.
It's not a minion, which is great. That's a bonus. But you know, and this is sort of a minion patch. Like, I don't know what it was, but somebody who plays a minion build over there made this patch. So that's fine. The one I'm more excited by, though, I mean, the Holopie, sure, you can make clones of yourself. Maybe it's good. I don't know. We'll see if it'll probably end up being good, since you can move, and like Pao said, you can do the reduced movement speed. It looks kind of fun, but like it has so many contingencies. Like, it can't be conditional. It can't be a channeled skill. So there's like a bunch of stuff you can't do.
It has a less damage multiplier on it. It has a less attack speed multiplier on it. It's a skill itself, so your skill is going to be a 5 link. There's like a million things, yeah.
There's a million things, and so it's like that kind of feels bad, and maybe I would want to like use that like early because it's fun, and I want to like ascend and then use it, and then use it in the campaign, but it's probably going to be dog shit in the campaign because it's just like a worse version of a self-cast. So I don't know. I'm probably not going to play that for a bit. But one thing that did look interesting in that Ascendancy was the rune slots, considering they have a new rune that makes it where you can remove modifiers from a unique and put it on a rune. So you can siphon off item modifiers onto a rune and then slot it into like 5 extra fucking slots. So you just get a shitload of gear affixes.
I thought that was a currency. I hear this for the first time. It wasn't that a currency?
It's a currency that makes a rune.
It's a rune.
Oh, I see. So
you use a currency on a unique. It deletes the unique and makes a rune. I think that rune, like, we don't know yet, but I think the rune is probably going to be limited to 1. Like, I think you'll only be able to get
also
one on, but maybe not. I mean, who knows?
Jonathan also said that they're rebalanced. They're not 1-to-1 what you see on the item.
Yeah.
He did say something akin to with new numbers, from what I remember. So we'll have to see. It's probably going to be a pool, kind of like the Val Cultivation, or if you go on PoEDB, you see like the list and what it does. There's probably going to be something like that for that as well. And it's going to be stingy. Like, it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work on everything. They're going to pick and choose certain things where it works on. And I can't imagine it.
It's only Kalguran and Azumite uniques.
Yeah, but even in there, right? Like, are they actually going to... Did they think about that before? Or are they like, no, this would be too OP, this would be too OP? So... We'll have
it's
to
probably
see,
like you say, they probably just like tone them down in a lot of cases.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, they handcrafted some absolutely busted Vol uniques.
Yeah,
so,
they did.
You know, I mean,
I think that'd be good one. I think there will be good ones in there. But my guess is what they would do is they would
for sure.
make them. They would weight them. Like for example, Svarlin is the one everyone's pointing to at the moment. You know, you get lucky block, put it on another shield, but like it'll probably be weighted first of all. That it doesn't pick that mod very often. Then if it does, it's probably going to be lucky block, but you take 30% of the damage from the hits or something like that. It'll be attached to something along with it. But
I'm actually more excited. Sorry, yeah.
Even if that rune doesn't exist, let's just say that fuck that rune entirely. The rune sockets are still nuts.
Yeah, I think they're good. I mean, I do think they're good. Yeah, because there's a lot of really good rune options, and there's even more in this patch. Like there's tons that we haven't even seen yet.
Or you can just get a shitload more ES. Or you can straight up just
if you just look through the list of if you just look through the list of runes, like right now, like even some of the ones that are like limited to one, but you still have to choose. Like currently on your gear, in a lot of cases you have to choose like here's a good one, and then there's like clearly a best in slot one that you must pick for your build. Like for example, you're doing poison build on Pathfinder, you're taking the +1 poison, putting in your weapon. Like that's just it's a foregone conclusion pretty much. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you would also like to put in your weapon that are like second best or third best. And it's the same for like body armors and boots and things like that. So
I wouldn't say it's the same. Like weapon sockets are really the OP ones. Like if you compare it to the other parts, and I feel like it might be a little bit overrated in terms of like we have the same situation with the bonded modifiers on the shaman. We had the same thing where people thought it would be completely busted, and then it was like all right, but that actually works with weapons. So in that case, I don't know. Like I can see an armor build, for example, being able to finally slot in armor thickness cold, armor thickness fire, and armor thickness lightning on top of everything else. But you're also not really in on that side of the tree, so it's a little bit weird. But I don't really know if that's worth an Ascendancy, I guess, is the question. I think it's nice early on during campaign, because you can mix and match just like attributes, resistances, and whatnot. But come endgame, it's going to depend on the new runes. Because if there's new runes, if there's like you say, a critical mass of one-off runes that you want, then yes, it's going to be broken. But if it isn't, it doesn't work on weapons. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think just when you look at that list of like 5 the modifiers that you're gaining from 5 of those runes, like pretty strong ones, it will look like an Ascendancy node at that point, especially with the new options that we're getting.
I don't know. I mean, you can slot in life. Like a lot of the builds already do like body armor, and then they're like already filling in life. And if that's all you get, like 6% life plus a little bit other stuff, is that actually an Ascendancy? Maybe. I'm just saying I don't think it's gonna be like breathtaking. It will be more like a last node you take. Maybe on that.
It'll definitely come down to
it's a 2-pointer, right?
You know, we're speaking of we're speaking of the runes there. Like let's begin to close out this pod with the new league mechanic that's coming in, the Runes of Aldur, because that's the one that's introducing these tons of new runes.
Yeah.
Let's just start off with that topic, right? Because I've heard people talking about it a bit. I thought about this when I saw it in the reveal stream. Is there a bit of like socket bloat going on there with like too many socketables? There's so many new runes being introduced.
100%.
How do you feel about it, DM?
Yeah. I am a little mildly annoyed at how many different runes there are to fucking pick up at this point, and how many of them are kind of like, I don't care to even pick them up. We have lesser, normal, and greater version of these fucking things. They have 160 new ones literally coming. I don't like scarabs in PoE 1, not because of function, but because of form. Like the fact that I have to click on a million goddamn scarabs all the time. It's like, I know we can filter out the bad runes, but it's like parsing all the information. Oh, we dropped, boom, 30 runes on the ground. All right, which of these fucking things am I going to click? Or I got to go and make sure I have the filter that filters out the dog shit ones. Like, more is good, and more can also be like, what are we doing? So, I kind of hope that the 160 is like not like 15 that we use, and the rest of them are +6 strength. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did kind of initially have some bloat concerns as well, because 160 is a lot of fucking items. And there's a lot of dog shit you can pick up on the ground already.
My real issue with it is, the way I feel about it is you could fix a lot of the problems that runes have with a crafting bench, right? Like, I don't mean exactly like PoE 1 crafting bench. That's like, that ship has kind of sailed, but I just mean you could make it a drop-down list. And understand that's not as hype as dropping different items, and it's cool and whatnot. But let's be real, a lot of these, like, okay, so now we're putting the runes in the item so we can then craft it. It's like, a lot of this just seems, if I feel overwhelmed, how many people feel overwhelmed? I usually love that shit, but you also have to think about it. This is a little bit more in the future, but like, I'm already at the point where I feel like there's too many items and it's going to be a shit show in terms of like what you have to stash and what you have to pick up. Like you said, this game is not even at 1.0. So I just want to make that clear. Like, if you think about the trajectory from, for example, Path of Exile 1, where is this game going to end up in 4 years? That's my question as well.
I do think runes feel like something to me at some point they're going to get reworked all into like a fucking recipe book or something. Like I it's one of those things I feel like it cannot sustain. We'll have like 250 plus runes or something at this point in different variations of forms. I mean, even I know we have a socket tab for it, and you have your tab. Even with the tab, how fucking big is this tab going to be? I mean, you got to look through all of them, my dude. Like, or remember the names so you can search for it. Like, that alone is you know, you're going to need a filter for your fucking tab. So, like, you know, there is a point in which it gets a little nuts.
The other thing is, right, like, if they condensed it, like you said, recipe book, right? Not crafting, but recipe book, which is a cool way to call it, actually. I'm going to yoink that. If you put it into a recipe book, you could make divine sinks and exalt sinks and whatnot for that. You could say, this part of the recipe book needs 500 exalts, and it's like a really OP thing, and all of a sudden there's an economy for exalts like a month into the league. So it would also make the currencies you already have more interesting. Maybe
you could literally do a rune crafting bench, and then what instead drops is blank runes. You have lesser blank rune, normal blank rune, greater blank rune, unique blank rune, omega giant veiny cock blank rune, like whatever tier you want. But then you can actually have like differentiate the rarity and the tier version of the rune that can then be converted into, you know, in crafting. If you really want to then further evaluate which of them are more, you can have them cost different amount of blank runes, or maybe have like formulas for the blank. Well, there's unique blank rune A, unique blank rune B, and then you have to have 2 A's and a B to make this one or whatever. And then that way you're actually like condensing it down instead of literally all of them can just fucking drop. You know what I mean? So I feel like there is ways that they could actually do that. And if it's thematically in the whole rune crafting thing, they literally have something we're rune crafting in as the league mechanic. So it's not really like that far of a stretch to change the system up at some point. We are, you know, complaining about something we haven't even played yet. I understand. You know, I'm not trying to be negative, Nancy, but as we evaluate it, that is one of my concerns about the quantity of runes.
I've heard so many suggestions to the rune bloat. Like you just said, the blank runes is one, the crafting bench that you mentioned there. I think the system works at the very top end with like the really rare runes that you're actually excited to find that just don't drop very often. And as you progress towards the end game, all of the floor that kind of builds up just falls out from underneath you. None of it even matters anymore, right? It's just like, you're not excited to find them, you're not interested, you just want to like hide it all. So there's definitely
and also you don't even know what they do.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, but like I'm already at the point where I'm like, what was that again? I know the movement speed rune, I know this rune, I know that rune, but like with another, I don't know how many 100 runes in the mix, am I gonna be like, oh, the runes of ass crack? Nice. It's like, I don't know what that is even. Like it showed up on my filter, but I have no idea what it is. So maybe that's good for loot. Maybe that's bad for loot. I feel like they're just trying to give their artists job security, right? Like whenever there's a new patch, don't worry, there's 200 new icons to design. There you go. Easy peasy. Right? But yeah.
It's pretty crazy. One of the other things that's coming alongside the league is literally called Runes of Alder, so that's why we led with that, right? But one of the other things, like the part of the signature thing of the patch there, is Runic Ward, which is a brand new resource. It looks like it's a defense type to go alongside armor, energy shield, evasion, and it's similar to energy shield, but energy shield sits on top of your life and takes damage first. This goes under your life, and should you lose all of your life, that will then start absorbing damage. So it's kind of like a secondary life ball. I think this is kind of an interesting mechanic. There's a lot of things in the game that are going to interact with it in ways that, you know, we haven't really seen in Path of Exile before, because this type of thing hasn't been accessible. DM, what was your first thoughts on Runic Ward?
I'm a big fan of adding more defensive layers into the game. I think a common thing that I've seen discussed is people want ways to not only, you know, at the pinnacle of your build, invalidate combat offensively, which we've definitely seen in this game already, but at some point to be able to do it defensively, which theory craft your build. And how often are you seeing when people are making builds, theory crafting all these defensive layers and how to make your character really tanky? It's really just kill fucking everything with a comment, you know what I mean? And then don't worry about it because they're dead anyway. So I think the concept that they're adding on more defensive layers is super interesting to me. So I was immediately a fan when I saw Runic Wards coming, and it's, you know, I as a life player typically love to see the fact that maybe there's something that I can actually increase my life pool a bit on the defensive layer. If it's technically defense, I can get defense percentage. That's another way for me to increase my overall life pool. Thematically is pretty cool. Runic Ward is almost like an armored version of life. I like that as well. It fits the theme of the actual league. It gives me something else to play around other than just a percentage life stat and asking for life on the tree all the time. We can actually craft Runic Ward on some of the more dog shit unique, so maybe like those get some usability. I think that the ward gives them a lot of opportunity to work with defenses without having to go back on their thing of really not wanting life on the tree and the complications they believe that will bring, but also kind of pseudo give us a way to get more life. So, I like it. I actually liked it a good deal. So what was your take?
Yeah, as you pointed out correctly as well, it's more of a life buff than an energy shield buff, because energy shield builds already have like 15,000 raw HP. They don't have too much damage reduction, but life builds have 2 to 3k life, maybe a little bit more, and they have a lot of damage reduction. But I mean, with that low amount of life, even with all the damage reduction in the world, you're still not even catching up to energy shield, right? But now, if you go from 3k life to technically 5k life, the whole balance shifts. Like, life builds are not that far off now that armor is in a decent spot. We're kind of getting there, and evasion is also getting better because of it. We don't really know how it's going to interrupt and how fast it recovers, but what I love the most, I actually think this is a genius, like one of the best things GG has ever done. The idea that it is under your life is so genius if you think about it. Because think about the way these builds usually work. Like, for example, Ward in PoE 1. A lot of the time, if you just play it normally, like they intended to, and don't abuse it in some way, what happens is, or you go hybrid, let's say, life, a little bit of energy shield, a little bit of life. What really happens is your energy shield or your ward is constantly on 0 or off whenever you need it, right? Because the small critters are going to hit it, but then it doesn't do anything because your life would have recovered anyways if it hit your life first, because you have to get life recovery or life flask or whatever. But now it's even only going to get touched if you ever get into that region. Like, just that swap alone is so genius. And I can't think I've never thought about that. I know Last Epoch has done stuff like endurance, obviously. So that's a little bit like that. But they went all the way. And I'm here for it. I love it. And like you said, that could be a solution to stuff like life on the passive tree. Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot I like about it. It reminds me a bit of the Chalupa's Darkness, because that works very similar to what you're saying, where it actually works in tandem with the energy shield really coolly. Because like, your energy shield goes down, you start hitting like your darkness, your dark, or the reverse darkness goes down, and then it can go back up, and they can leapfrog each other, which is kind of a cool mechanic. So I'm kind of curious if Runic Ward 1 is going to function like that, because we need to know how long Runic Ward takes precedence, right? So if you have like a leech or something going, and you hit basically 0, and then you leech back up to 10, does immediately it goes back down your life 10 and then the Runic Ward again? Is it always, or does Runic Ward like, hey, I'm here now, I'm taking precedence, the life starts recrunic a bit, and then the Runic Ward goes out, then life takes over again? Like, how long?
How does that work? Both recover at the same time, for example. Does Runic Ward have a completely different recovery, or like you said, is it tied to life? Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see it, for sure.
Yeah, Runic Ward will definitely only absorb damage when you're on 0 life. Like, if you have any life, that will be taken first.
Oh, yeah, we know that. We know that, yeah. That's their marketing, yeah.
I think this mechanic is really, really cool. Like, there's so many things already in the game that are going to be kind of fun to experiment with. Some things that are, like, actually not very good right now, or haven't been very good. So, for example, there's a node on the rich list, which is you gain increased life recovery rate for every percentage of missing life that you have, right? So, let's say you completely deplete all of your life pool, and then you have quite a sizable amount of Runic Ward. If you have recoup, right, suddenly your recoup is gaining massive efficiency for your life, because any damage you're taking from hits actually to your Runic Ward is then creating a huge amount of life recoup, right? That's really cool. Even just generally speaking, general recovery for your life at that point is going to be really effective, like leech or anything like that. But I think the recoup one is pretty good, because before you couldn't do that, right? You wouldn't have been able to absorb the damage, but now you can. There's another few there that I mentioned in the video that I was doing. One that I actually missed is there's a body armor that gives you the Dissolution of the Flesh effect from PoE 1, right? Now, Dissolution of the Flesh is like this really cool thing. For those who don't know what it is, it's basically whenever you would lose life from taking damage, you reserve it instead. If you have a bunch of Runic Ward and you have your life, if you have no way of, let's say you have no life regeneration at all, no leech, nothing, right? When your life gets to 0, you will always buy those 3 seconds. It's 3 seconds in PoE 2 rather than 2, by the way, because it's on the body armor. You will always buy those 3 seconds as long as you don't lose all your Runic Ward for your life to become unreserved again, back up to full, right? Because you can't take any damage to your life. So that's another really interesting interaction there. There's even CI, like I mentioned CI. I don't really think people are going to do this because of where CI is on the tree. It's just still more efficient to go Energy Shield anyway. But there is the case there where you can go CI and go Runic Ward because, if you're not investing much into your life and your life recovery, there's the potential there to be immune to chaos damage, immune to bleeding. So, yeah, I just really I love any mechanics like this in the game. Like, me as a player, I prefer playing... I like to build characters that are defensively oriented, right? Just generally speaking. Like, I'm not really a huge fan of building, like, Glass Cannon or something like that. I don't want to be falling over all the time, right? So, this is really cool because I just like the more defensive stuff. And that's one of the things that's been bugging me with PoE 2, like, as it's developed, like, ever since the early access, is that defenses have been, just to put it bluntly, they're really poor in PoE 2. They're not in a good place at all. Yeah. So, yeah, them adding just anything more to, like, improve options that you have defensively is really, really nice.
I liked it a lot. The CI one's interesting, too, because I guess this is probably what you're alluding to, opens up the possibility of doing, like, damage taken through Energy Shield that normally you just can't take on CI at all. And so you can actually have some more DR that way as well, because now it's hitting your Runic Ward, and you're not just, like, fucking immediately dying. It's kind of cool. I thought the Runic Ward was just completely awesome. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, interesting mechanic.
What do you mean with CI? Because only Chaos and Bleeding can go through CI, and that's already on CI. Is there anything else?
Chaos doesn't go through Energy Shield in PoE 2. It does double damage.
Yeah, but you're immune to Chaos anyways, and Bleeding doesn't go through. So is there anything else that goes through?
Oh, he was talking about the stat for damage bypassing Energy Shield.
Like, you can have damage bypass Energy Shield, so you can use it as a DR. Like, you can
the stat that Lich uses, right? Oh, by the way, speaking
I don't think
of
it's going to be too...
Yeah.
Sorry. One thing I wanted to throw in, because you had so many good ideas about Ward. One thing that I don't see anybody talking about is right now on Pathfinder, Traveler's Wisdom, the node after the node where you can start at a different location. There's a node afterwards that lets you, the small passives, right? It lets you use, for example, your small travel nodes as 5% increased damage, 5% cost efficiency. But there's also the last one, which says increase defenses.
That will work.
That is what it currently says.
Yeah.
So you could be both armor and ward. And if Runic Ward is part of those defenses like it is in PoE1, then that is batshit crazy. Like, absolutely insane.
That's why I was thinking when I heard it's the defenses, like, it can't be, right? Because, like,
I mean, it says it's
probably
defense on the reveal page.
It is in the box up top where usually the defenses are.
And it's scaled by quality in those boxes. We actually see that.
If it is, that was, yeah.
I think it's just going to be adjusted to say Energy Shield, Armor, and Evasion, because there's no way they let that through. Because otherwise you could be both Armor and Runic Shield and just be Life. And you would have, like, I don't know, probably 6k Runic and 2k Life, and it would just be a shit
It does
show.
depend on how much... That's one of the things that... I don't know if you watch the Q&A section on that. They talked about Runic Ward a little bit. They talked about how much you'd be able to get, because... Early on in the campaign, you're basically not making any trade-offs. You're just getting it guaranteed from putting on the bench. It's basically extra, right? Then later on, where the trade-offs come, we actually saw, like, the Brass Dome. It has no armor, right? It's literally only Runic Ward.
Yeah.
So I'm actually wondering how much you'll be able to get if you're not really investing that much into Runic Ward. Like, even if you have let's say you have a bunch of scaling for it, right? Like, loads of scaling. I don't know how many points you'll get off the Pathfinder tree for, like, global defense scaling. How much base Runic Ward will you get if you're not actually, like, making those trade-offs? Because then, if I'm using Brass Dome for 1,000 base Runic Ward, then I'm not getting any armor from my body armor, right? Which means...
So the way I understood it. I know what you're saying, but the way I understood it is there's special cases like uniques where it can transforms all of it and you get a bunch of Runic Ward. And then there's the other cases where, for example, on rares, you're just going to have a tiny bit of ward sprinkled on top and it's just kind of like an upside. That's how I understood it. Yeah. I don't know why leveling rares would be different to endgame rares in that case.
Well, they said that so uniques interact differently because they actually like hand design those, and they said that in the end game
the rares
there are
we
certain
saw
base
were
types.
just on top, right?
No, not all of them. No. They said that in the end game, certain base types are going to do different things. So some of them will fully convert all of the armor into Runic Ward. Some will go halfway. So it'd be like you'll lose half the armor and gain half Runic Ward. And some will be a tiny bit.
You saw that on a rare?
Added. Yeah, they just said.
You saw that on a rare?
They just said base types. Yeah, it's just base. It's a base type thing.
Weird.
And
okay.
that's what he said in the Q&A. And that's kind of how I would expect it to be as well, because otherwise, because Mark actually mentioned this point specifically, he said he didn't like the way our ward was designed in PoE 1 because it's completely based on unique items. Like you can't do anything with ward if you don't do a unique ward build. You know, things like Yinda's stand, that kind of stuff. So I think they wanted to do something where you can actually build something without unique specifically. But I do expect there to be some interesting items for interacting with Runic Ward, like unique items.
That's interesting because the way I understood it is the reason they just tacked it on for free but not too much was it's just a little bit of extra, but you can still go into armor and evasion because otherwise in this game, if you're sacrificing most of your armor for like a little bit extra HP, that's like a weird trade-off to make. A lot of like even the brass dome looked weird. So I think that's why that's not how I interpreted it. But if that's
I think that's why they're doing it based on base types, so that because also you can hover on the right panel before it converts, so like you can actually see you see what it's going to become. So I think the whole reason for doing that is that you can choose a particular base type to craft on in the end game. You craft your perfect body armor, and then you already know what it's going to do with the rune forging bench. So
yeah, could be.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna see what's gonna go on there, but that is definitely how I interpreted that from the Q&A. That there's going to be different base type interactions. All right,
looks like it's gonna be a pretty good update, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it is. I think I'm pretty excited for it. What are you guys like overall feelings? You feeling like it's going to be a good league?
Has to be. I mean, like even discovering the stuff alone is going to be fun. Like
exactly.
You have 15
that's what I'm looking forward
to fight.
Yeah, that's. I'm just looking forward to that first playthrough on the Atlas. Just I think it's going to be really fun just exploring the Atlas. It feels like
it's great.
This patch, like the whole introduction and the reveal they did, it kind of feels like it's a new, like a fresh experience again. Because I haven't really felt like 100%. That since 0.1.
Agreed.
I think the worst case scenario. Yeah, I think the worst case scenario for it is that. Whereas a lot of people were unhappy about the Infinite Atlas after like 50, 60 hours, they're now going to be unhappy after 200 hours, which I think is a lot better and already a huge improvement. So that's the worst case scenario. And then if they fix that after, I mean, honestly, ever since 0.2, which I thought was like their worst patch yet, where it went down immediately after release, 0.3, 0.4, and now this, I'm pretty optimistic right now. Yeah.
I think they're on the right track.
Like Jonathan was making, which is like, okay, they want you to at some point be done. Like that's why they have like if you play 200 hours in the league and you beat everything, it's time to quit the game. Like I mean, they actually said that. So I think that's they feel like we have an experience to be consumed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an infinite playability right now. So I think,
like I said,
that's kind
for
of
99. For 99% of the people, this is going to be like a Witcher playthrough now. That's what it's going to do because they're never going to get to the 200-hour mark where now it feels boring. Like that's probably 99%. That has to be 99% for it. So yeah,
probably higher. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a really cool chat, guys. Honestly, that was great. Thanks for coming on, DM. That's been a good time. What sort of, if you're working on any content between now and the launch, let people know what you're working on and where to find you.
Just big chilling, dude. I'm doing what everyone is doing, which is trying to find something to do to hold us over for another 19 days. So we're doing a private league. Actually hit 2,500 players like the first day. I didn't expect that many people wanted to like actually play like a private league right now. But yeah, so we're just chilling, playing private league, fucking around. Watching your videos, Dreamcore, because I pretty much watch every single one of your videos. They're all bangers. Just yapping and making YouTube videos and shit. There's nothing to do for 19 days. I will play Subnautica. The Subnautica 2 is coming out on the 14th, bro. I'm a huge Subnautica 1 fan. We don't talk about Below Zero. That never happened. So I'm looking forward to Subnautica 2 on the 14th. And then 15th, 16th is WoW TBC Phase 2 comes out. So I'll be gone those days degening the new raids. But we're new. Third time, boys. But doing WoW raiding. And then, it's back to Stalin.
Yeah, so a bit of variety then in the downtime.
Small bit.
I mean, we could have some interesting things coming out from GEG, in this gap. I think that they'll have something up there.
I would assume at least one more teaser of some kind. They'll want to bleed it through, keep people excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a good chat. Thanks for coming on, DM.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I always love talking to you guys. I gotta give you a genuine compliment. I think you guys make some of the best, just best stuff in the PoE space in Jimro. Pausteron, did the amount of times that you have called stuff ahead of time when I was talking to you about you coming up, like the Oracle, convinced me the Oracle, you were right. You got a smart mind when it comes to the build creation. Dreamcore, I think you make some of the most continually high quality best. I think you're my favorite PoE2 content creator when it comes to the video production side of things, and I still believe that. So just a big compliment to both of you, as much as I can.
Appreciate it, dude.
Thank you, man.
That means a lot.
Back to you as well. Always looking forward to what you have to say. I'm always, just to give you a little bit of roses, I'm always fascinated about how efficient you are talking in your videos. Like your vocabulary, it's honestly like mind-boggling. And I don't think you do any script. Obviously, for me, it's like a second language situation, but I'm still so envious of, just the entertainment value you bring in sometimes the most banal situations even. It's like incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliment. Someone's got to be the yapper, I guess.
Dude, for me, it's not a second language, and I struggle so much with like one take things. Like I'm always just like yapping endlessly about something that should take like half the time. So yeah, that is definitely a good quality to have. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching this episode of the PoE Report. We're signing out.